Florida has had a very aggressive, in fact, arguably the most aggressive sunshine law, open records, open meetings law in the nation. And I think it really grows out of the Watergate era of the early 1970s, and it's something that most Floridians, certainly the working media in Florida, takes very, very seriously. But it is the idea that elected officials, people that work for government, are doing the people's business, and therefore the people have a right to see the documents and records that they produce. And so every year the Florida legislature addresses certain exceptions to the Sunshine Law, and there are any number of exceptions, but they're always a pretty contentious issue, because it's kind of human nature, I think, to want to do things privately, to want to do things outside of the Sunshine Law. But of course, Floridians, the working media, expect that these documents will be open. Emails, I mean, I think that's a real challenge that we have, is as technology evolves, the question becomes, kind of how does that fit with the law? And we see this in lots of different areas of law. Absolutely, emails are public records if they're about public business. So if I'm an elected official, I can talk I can play golf with my friend who is a member of the same board. There's absolutely no prohibition, and we can talk all about most anything. What we can't talk about, though, is information matters that either are before our board or reasonably expected to come before the board. So these can be difficult questions, and so it comes up to, really ultimately up to the courts to decide what is and is not a violation of the Sunshine Law. We had an issue several years ago that I think is really fascinating, is we had volunteer firemen who would film fires on their cell phones. Public record or not. So they post it on Facebook, they send it to their girlfriends or the boyfriends or what have you. Public record? Yeah, because the only reason they're there is pursuing a government objective.
Right.
And so, those are the kind of nuanced things, but absolutely, if an email pertains to government business, it's a public record. Well, if public officials if the city commissioners of St. Augustine were to create a private group to discuss business, I mean, clearly that's a violation of the Sunshine Law. So, I think we'll continue to see this evolution. Back up 30 or 40 years ago, again, another volunteer fireman, he's just sitting around listening to the police scanner. And his scanner picked up, this was well before cell phones, but when we have what we call portable phones, like some people still have in their homes, that are no longer tethered to a landline.
Yeah.
He heard two city commissioners of St. Augustine Beach conversation. It just skipped, and he got it on his scanner, and they were talking about city business. And he reported it, and they were both prosecuted for violating Sunshine Law. So, it's constantly evolving, and I think sometimes people trip up on these things innocently, and sometimes they're looking for ways to avoid the law. The local newspaper, at least for a while, the St. Augustine Record, would get a weekly data dump of all county commissioners, city commissioners' emails that came to their official email address. Well, that aids public records. It saves a reporter having to go down. It has a written record. There's lots of advantages to that.